Hi, I'm Dawn and this is where Shabby meets Bling. I still have a lot of work to do in my gardens, so I'm going to be making some garden decor from a roadside find. I will be making a few other things as well. You are watching Summer Ain't Over, a Can't Sleep Creations collaboration. I'd like to thank my fellow co-hosts, Jody from Jody at Southern Seasons and Monica from Up All Night DIY. You are going to find the links to their channels as well as this playlist in the description box below. We are joined by some other fabulous creators as well. Make sure you give them a look. So, as I said, summer ain't over, and you can see that by some of the beautiful flowers that are in bloom in my yard. And that being said, I am going to be doing some gardening today. And there's a specific area in my yard that needs some serious help. And it's another side of my garage. And I am going to first go take a look at my neighborhood garden center. This is pretty much the nicest garden center around. It's not a Walmart or Menards. It's actually called Ann's. And it's right here in the town I live in. And they have a huge selection. And they have a lot of things I want. A lot. But I am looking for something specific for on the side of my garage. I'm looking for a climber. And I want something different than what I already have. And I did find something I have never ever seen before. It's this little beauty. She's called a chocolate vine. Absolutely gorgeous. So you better believe I picked this up. And I want to say thanks to my kids, my son and his family for the Mother's Day gift card to this lovely place. I picked this thing up and I took it home and I am planting it on the side of my garage. I absolutely am in love with this thing and I cannot wait to see what these little chocolate flowers are gonna look like. We have a climbing vine, so now we need a trellis. This thing was a roadside find. Yes, it's broken. What it is, it's like the remainder of one of these. These are vintage sewing machine bases. And this is going to get turned into a trellis for that beautiful chocolate vine that we just planted. The first thing I need to do is get the Dremel out and remove the broken parts. This is what I'm left with. These two beautiful iron pieces, and they are so intricate and so amazing. They are going to make one heck of a trellis for my beautiful vine. I am going to need to hold my trellis away from the wall so my vine has a place to climb. So I'm going to be using these copper tubes, basically these pipes, which are made for plumbing repair. And I am measuring them out. These are foot-long lengths, and I'm going to be cutting them in 3 equal pieces, and they'll be 4 inches each, if I did my math right. So I'm going to take my tubing cutter, and it kind of works like a clamp, you know, so there's a release on it, and then you can tighten it. So I am taking the blade and I'm bringing it up to my line, and then I twist that little red knob at the bottom to tighten it, and I turn the pipe a little bit, and as I cut through I need to tighten that bottom knob over and over as it bites into the pipe, and then you just keep turning the pipe, and as it bites in you'll have to turn that little bottom knob again, and it takes a little bit of muscle, a little bit of time, but eventually this thing just pops right off and we're left with equal pieces that will go behind our trellis and will get screwed onto the side of the garage. To accommodate the width of the sewing machine base and that 4-inch piece of copper, I'm using a 6-inch screw to get into the side of the garage so it holds nice and tight. And in 2 different places I needed to add a washer as well, which I painted kind of a rust color to blend in with the sewing machine trellis. Of course, I can't just have those 2 random pieces hanging on the side of my garage. So I have these 2 hose holders. They're to go on the side of your house, and you spool your hose around them. And I didn't get them for my hoses. I got them because that metal was so darn pretty. It is wrought iron, and I'm gonna clean them up, and I'm gonna paint them with one of my rusting techniques to mimic the finish that's on the trellis. Now, I picked these up at Walmart, I think like 4 years ago, and they were on 90% off after summer sale, and I believe they cost me like $1.99, something along those lines. They were extremely cheap, and for solid wrought iron, you better believe that I grabbed them. These are a couple of planters that I've had for a very, very long time. These things are older than my kids, I think. And they were rusted when I bought them, and they look just as lovely now as the day I purchased them. I have a couple of brackets that I picked up at Menards, and I sprayed them with my 2 colors that create the rust color as well. And I am screwing these onto the side of my garage right above that first trellis piece that I hung. And this is going to have one of those beautiful rusty planter boxes will sit right on top of those 2 brackets. Since I only have a couple of plants on this side of the garage, what I'm going to do is transplant some items from other parts of my yard. This one really needs to be transplanted. It is pretty much buried in between my boxwood and one of my beautiful peony bushes, so she's not getting much light and she needs to be moved. I made her that wire urn she's wearing a few years ago, and when it's moved, you'll be able to see it a little bit better. This thing is a component for an iron gate, and I have quite a few of them, and I'm not using them as something for an iron gate. I'm using it for tall items to be staked to, like this. This is one of my beautiful tall plants. Beautiful. I need a new word, guys. This is one of my gorgeous tall plants, and I have her staked to this fence component so that way she doesn't fall over and her stems don't break. So I will be utilizing one of these on my side of the garage as well. Let's talk about flower frogs and how to use them. All of my floral frogs have been thrifted. This is no exception. This is an older one, it's vintage. Here's another version of it, just smaller. It is also plastic and it is also old. This is a glass one, also really cool. You can find them with different size holes and different shapes. What a flower frog is, you see the little holes? You put stems of flowers in these holes and they will hold them in a certain position. Another big glass one, really cool. I even have some so big that I can use them for my toothbrushes. You can use them for pens. You can use them for anything. This is a metal frog. Same thing. You put your flowers right in it, holds them in place. This one is a metal frog as well. This has to be one of my absolute favorites, probably because of the shape. You don't find many square frogs. This is glass on the bottom and it is plastic on the top, and it is also old. I have many, many more, but you get the idea. Now, these are not flower frogs. They may look familiar to you. These are 2 forms of bird feeders, but guess what? I'm gonna use them as flower frogs. Why not? I picked up this lidded decorative item resale. It had a smaller one that came with it as a set for $4, and it will hold water. I'm gonna strip out that gross black velvety stuff on the inside. We're gonna give it a paint, and it is gonna become a container for one of our frogs. So here's my bird feeder, and take a look at that. It fits right inside that little decorative piece. Now all she needs are some flowers. I found this adorable little pitcher resale. It was 50 cents. As always, I do a little research to see what these things go for, and this was no slouch, so I made a darn good purchase. They ranked anywhere from $17 to $55, so yay for 50 cents. Because it's a lemonade little pitcher, I'm going to use lemons as my frog, and I know you've seen this done before. You can use real fruit, you can use artificial. These are artificial, of course I got them resale. I'm gonna wipe them off and we're gonna put them in there and use them as frogs. As another decorative element, I wanted to put some straws into my pitcher, but every straw that I could find was way too small. So I am taking some dowel rods and I have clamped them in my clamp, and I'm using a good sized drill bit, 2 sizes actually. I'm starting with 1 size to get my hole going, and then once I've got a nice hole, I turn around and I change out my drill bit and I make it a little bigger, and I just kind of drill away to make an opening, and it's gonna look, as you can see, like the top of a straw. Once I have my hole exactly the way I want it, so it resembles a straw, I'm gonna give it a couple of coats of white chalk paint. Now keep in mind, if you're gonna use these with real flowers and with water, you're gonna want to seal these in some fashion. The arrangement I'm going to make in that little lemonade pitcher is gonna be an artificial arrangement. To really make it look like a straw, I figured I could paint a yellow stripe down around it, like a little candy cane, or I could use some ribbon. This gorgeous ribbon came from Dollar Tree, and it is bright yellow and it is beautiful, and I'm gonna use 3-in-1 glue to hold it in place. There are limes on the exterior of the pitcher as well as lemons, so I'm gonna use these 2 ribbons to create a bow for my floral arrangement. As I said, the yellow ribbon came from the Dollar Tree, but that beautiful green ribbon, that chartreuse, came from Sam's Club. This thrifted wood spoon is going to become part of my little lemonade stand. Now here we have a Parmesan shaker and a crushed red pepper shaker. Both you'd find that at a pizza place. But guess what? Frog, ribbon. We're gonna use them as frogs. Get ready for some thrifted garden decor. I grabbed this mirror quite a long time ago, and it is a mirror. I know it looks like plate glass, but it truly is mirror. And it's one of those plasticky or Sirocco things, whatever they want to call it. That's what it's made of. This is not wood, and it's going to be just dandy being outside. I'm removing the back so that I can get rid of that mirror that's inside. This is what it looks like on the back side without the mirror. I'm going to utilize all those screw holes to put this into it. This is very old chicken wire. This is naturally rusted, and this was a gift. I have pulled it apart as best I can and got the wrinkles out, and now I am cutting a nice big rectangle that I can apply to the back of my mirror, and I'm cutting it so that I've got a little bit extra all the way around. I don't want to catch myself short here and not be able to attach it to those screw holes. Now all I have to do is use those same screws to attach the chicken wire. And in some places I have to pull really tight because I don't want there to be any slack in this, because I will probably be hanging something on it every now and again. After my chicken wire is screwed into place, I will be trimming any excess off and tucking it into that groove. Let's make a vine wreath. This is some of my wisteria vine, and it is absolutely gorgeous. And underneath all that is a really amazing arbor, although you'd never know because it is seriously out of hand. And now I'm going to give my lovely vine a haircut. This is all the vine that I cut down, and it's quite a bit. It looks like more than what it really is because of all the leaves, but there's definitely enough here to make a wreath. So I'm going to strip off all the leaves, I'm going to wind it together in a shape that I like, and I'm going to sit it in the sun and let it dry. Here's my finished wreath, all complete, and I think it's much more refined than grapevine. Hey, I did some gardening work, and I'm not going to let any scraps go to waste. This wreath turned out beautiful. So this just arrived. We just ordered it on Sunday, I believe. And this is going to be my 9-foot arbor. that is going to take over some of the workload from the arbor that already exists. So we're going to extend it forward. Very excited to open this thing. This is what it looks like. I did get it on wayfair.com and it will be installed. We'll be doing it sometime this week. There will be an update and some pictures. I'll throw them up on Instagram so you can see what it looks like. I will be using some of my salvage trim from my home, as well as these brackets to create a little shelf for one of my flower boxes. I'm a gal that can never refuse a good finial, so for $2 each, I picked these up while thrifting. One last thrifted item, this little medallion for $1. It is also a plasticky kind of thing, and it's very heavy, which is wonderful because I'm going to be applying it to my trellis. First thing I need to do is give it a coat of spray paint so it matches my existing trellis. Then I'm going to find my center, and then I need to drill a hole in it. Then I need to put a screw in, and I'm going to glue that screw in with 3-in-1, and then I will be ready to wire it to my trellis. All of my projects are complete. The gardens are looking so much better. Let's go take a look, but first, let's start with those floral frogs. First up, my little vintage lemonade pitcher, and how cute with those little lemons and limes on the sides. I absolutely think this is adorable. You can see the lemons inside holding all my stems into place. I chose to use an artificial arrangement in this application. You can see all the artificial flowers, and they are surrounding those two cute little straws that I made out of those dowel rods. You can also see how beautifully the ribbon coordinates with the picture itself. And hey, why not a little bit of lemonade and some lemon cookies to go along with our adorable little arrangement. Here's that pretty little decorative box that I picked up as a set, but I only painted out one. And in this application, I added all live florals. These are boxwood and ivy and a little bit of blue tinted thistle from my garden. And I painted this little decorative box to coordinate with some items that I did for a Shabby Chic video. I will leave the link for that video in the description box below. But you can see how absolutely spectacular it coordinates with that other project. Here I'm using a little glass loving cup as well as glass stoppers, bottle stoppers, as frogs. I'm gonna pop in a couple of beautiful flowers, add some water, and I'm good to go. Simply beautiful. Let's not forget about my little shakers from the pizza parlor, which were thrifted. I added some peonies in the small one and some mock orange blossom in the large. And perched right next to them is my little bird frog, my birdie frog, which is vintage and was also thrifted. Let's check out the side of my garage. And let's start with one of my flower boxes that I used the old trim and a couple brackets to create a shelf for. I did transplant the plants in this flower box from my garden, my existing gardens, and they are a little wilty at the moment. They will bounce back. I added a small mirror and a metal bird as well. Here's that mirror, at least the frame of it. If you notice, I did not paint it. I liked it the way it was. That off-white softens the color palette that I'm using here. And you'll notice I put a little sign on there. A little sign that says trespassers will be composted. And I thought that was really super cute. I picked that up at Aldi for $2.99. Here's my chicken wire urn that I transplanted, and she's perking up pretty well. She has been here for a couple days now, and I need to make some more of these, and I'll do it in a video so you can see how I did it. This guy is 2 pieces. It is a plant stand and the part of a broken sconce, and that's what's holding my little rusty bucket. And this is a natural rusting that I did on this little Galvy pail that's holding the plant. you can check out my video, Rusting Techniques, to see how I did that. There's that dollar medallion I painted and added on to my trellis. And there is one of the hose hangers at the top. The other one is at the bottom. Here's another one of my flower boxes. And if you notice, I left it wide open at the bottom because I want my vine to go up and through it. And part of it will spill out. So it will look, after it's grown, of course, it will look like there is a plant spewing from this beautiful flower box. Here's a good look at the copper that I added to hold the trellis in place. And there's my other garden hose holder, just tucked away at the bottom. There's one of my thrifted finials. And there's my beautiful trellis. I am so happy with this. It has a very French country look to it. Very rustic, yet elegant. All of the above. And to think it was just a salvaged piece of metal on the side of the road. A broken old antique sewing machine base that nobody wanted anymore. And I'm glad they didn't, because this thing really is spectacular and I cannot wait for that beautiful vine to grow all the way up my new trellis. This was Summer Ain't Over, a Can't Sleep Creations collaboration. And once again, I'd like to thank my co-hosts Jody and Monica for joining me tonight. You will find the links to their channels and this playlist in the description box below. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, share it with your family and friends and anybody that loves gardening, summer, French country decor, and shabby chic. You can find me on Instagram and check out my shop on Etsy. Leave me a comment. I love hearing from all of you. The best way to support my channel is to subscribe, so please don't forget to subscribe. But for now, this is Dawn with Shabby Meets Bling. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you next time.